Like, we can't do it alone. I was like, I was thinking that wasn't going to be happening.
And I'll entertain a motion to approve the agenda. Do I have to swear people in here?
Huh? What are we talking about?
That got everybody's attention.
At the county meetings now, everybody that talks, gets up and talks, we have to swear them in.
No. Can we swear at him?
Can we swear at them now like that?
That's a very good
Can we just
thought.
flat smooth?
Are we still being recorded?
Oh, we're being recorded again, so.
I was just saying, remember.
Probably better to ask before we do it, you know?
Remember, Robbie?
Yeah.
Wave at the camera. Okay. Motion.
So we are,
Where we at?
I make
To
a
approve
motion
the
that we
agenda.
approve the agenda as presented.
I'll second if we have no reason to move anything.
Motion second to approve the agenda as presented. All those in favor?
Aye.
All those opposed? Okay, I'll entertain a motion to consider the approval of the regular minutes of June 29th.
Yes.
Game of Thrones?
Love that show.
I make a motion that we approve the regular minutes
I will second.
as
written?
on June 29th, 2017.
Okay, been moved and seconded to approve the minutes as presented from June 29th, 2017. All those in favor?
Aye.
All those opposed? Okay, James. No, not James. You're not up.
James?
Do we want them to present?
Whatever you want.
Do we care if they present? Do you care if they present?
What?
Present them.
Yes, we do.
Well,
Do you want them to get up and talk or not? I mean, we've already viewed it.
okay,
I'm trying to hurry for you.
oh, I'm here tonight, so.
Oh, okay. I thought you were in a hurry.
That's up to you. If
They're here.
I would ask them
Okay.
if they
They're-
want
if
Do
they
you want to present?
Mine's the same. Trying to get one.
presentation,
Well, actually.
If you have something to add,
How
please
about,
let
can
us
I do like 30 seconds?
Sure, you can do as long as you want.
There are a bunch of several things that I've requested this time that are a little bit different from the normal ones we do, like the sign coming out of Hobbs. This is a real important one for us, and we get a lot of people coming, you know, that go to the museum and stop here in Lovington because that sign is out there.
It's a nice sign, too.
Yeah, well, thanks. It's gotten faded, but so anyway, the other odd thing is that we're doing some outreach programs this year from the museum. And I don't know if y'all read all of that in detail or whatnot, but we're going to do these presentations from Raton, Taos, Placitas, Las Cruces, and then in Alpine, Texas. So these are promotions for people to come to Lovington, specifically to come to the museum, but we think of this as economic development too.
Right.
And we've never done anything like this, but I hope it turns out to be a success. It's promoting one of our books. Let me tell you just one other thing real quick.
We're not.
I just got the word that we're going to have a screening, a premiere of a PBS documentary film down here. Now the first 3 screenings are going to be in Santa Fe, Albuquerque, and Las Cruces. But then we're going to have a premiere for seeing this documentary here in Lee County too.
Are we going to get to have it at the theater?
Well, I'm hoping that I'll make that proposal, you know, to the theater group for us doing that. But it's a PBS documentary. They filmed 3 days of it here in the Lee County Museum, and it is a documentary about the novelist Max Evans. We have a Max Evans room here. They were here 3 days. The guy that produced that is Paul Barnes. He's a worker. I mean, he's part of Ken Burns' crew. And in fact, he's helped edit all of those films that you're seeing on Civil War right now on PBS. You know, and really great films there. Anyway, Barnes just let me know that they will be able to come down here. We haven't set the date yet.
Oh, that's neat.
Anyway, that'll be a cool thing, and so maybe those. Anything else that was odd on my list other than those? We got a new thing, and that's Santa at Santa Run, you know, we're going to do, and so whatever. If you have a question for me, I'll answer.
Okay.
Okay. You're not leaving, are you, Jeff?
No.
Okay, thank you. All right. Chairperson,
Mm-hmm.
I have some discussion on that. Do we want to wait until the action, or do we want to do it as we go along?
We're going to discuss the lodger's tax financial report, and we're discussing the disbursement.
This would be to the disbursement of
Okay.
those funds. So my question is, do we want to do it one at a time, or do we want to leave it in this order, let them present, and then have discussion on the consideration?
We usually just discuss it all at once.
Okay, let's go.
Okay. Right? Don't we? Yeah.
Okay, perfect.
Did you want to talk, Mom?
Well, I guess I can talk about it a little bit.
Let me swear you in.
Yes.
Hi guys. So we're going to be collaborating with Lovington EDC to host October Fiesta, which we're hoping it will be a play on Dia de los Muertos and Oktoberfest. We thought it would be a great way to unite the community. You know, we always do Texas Country, and she always does the Spanish dances. So we wanted to join those two together so the community is forced to come together. We're going to be alternating on music. It's going to be Texas Country, Spanish, Texas Country, and then ending with Spanish. We've already booked all of our groups. Justin Kemp Band will be performing as our main attraction for the Texas Country, and Los Jilgueros del Arroyo will be their main attraction. We're going to have a cornhole.
What's that in English?
Something.
Something.
Stream. I don't know. Jilgueros isn't really I think it's like a made up word.
Is not a word?
I don't think so. Is it, Joanna? Jilgueros? No.
No, it's just their main.
I'm just curious what it translates to.
That's a really big Spanish band, and the community really likes them. We're going to have a cornhole tournament, a green and red pozole cook-off, and we actually got a donation from Albertsons for pumpkins so that we can do pumpkin painting with the kids. In the past, that's been said we don't have anything for the kids to do, so free pumpkin painting. Food vendors, of course, beer vendors. I've reached out to a couple of other microbreweries from the state, so hopefully we can get 3 different breweries instead of just Drylands. So we're excited about that.
How long is that? Is that on a Saturday or something?
It's an all-day event. We're gonna start at 10 a.m. and we're gonna end at midnight.
Wow.
So
And what day is this?
Wow.
October 21st. If you would come to my meetings, Callie,
I've been a little busy. Sorry. I've been a little gone.
But it's a first time we've ever partnered like this, and we're really excited. We're hoping it'll draw in a big crowd. For Evelyn's concert, she brings in at least 2,000 people, and mine at least bring in 1,000. So
is that going to be at the courthouse?
Yes, and great news. City Commission approved for the street closure for Main Street and Central, so now it goes off to DOT, and hopefully they approve it as well, and we'll be closing off Main. Yeah.
All day, Saturday?
So we thought Watermelon Roundup at Plains, they close off their major
That
highway.
works, we can do it for smoking on the plaza too, right?
This is going to be a great trial and error. We're going to see if it works, and if it doesn't, we will never ever do it on Main Street again.
I'm sissy now.
We're just looking for alternatives in terms of location. And one of the things that we noticed when we did the downtown throwdown was when that light was out on Main and Central, people had to actually stop and look both ways. And so they're like, oh my gosh, something's going on in downtown. And a lot of them only stopped to go to the food vendors, but nonetheless, it brought more people to be like, oh, I didn't know you were doing this down here. Even though, we do tons of advertising and spend all of our money. So, that's it.
So at the very least, we need to break the lights that day.
No, just turn them off.
James, look away.
While I nod in
Why aren't we feeling destructive today?
Yeah, we don't have to break anything.
Okay, make them inoperable. How's that?
I mean, if you even just put like some black trash bags around it.
Exactly, right? Yeah.
No.
Now, my question is, are they gonna close anything off on Friday?
No.
No, okay.
No,
good.
all of my street proposals have been early Saturday morning.
Okay.
So everything will be normal Friday, and then early Sunday morning will be opened again.
What does the farmer's market have to say about that?
Are they operating or during that time?
Yeah. I'm just saying, check with them, please.
Okay, I will. Yes, ma'am.
Call Marks.
Is that who's doing it now, Mark Anderson?
now.
Okay, I'll call. I have his number.
Okay.
Yeah.
I got something to say now, I remember. With the funds that you guys gave us for the summer tournament, it freed a lot of money for me to be able to give bat bags to the teams that won, and it made a difference. So thank you guys for that. And what we're gonna do this year is we're gonna split up the two divisions. We got a co-ed, which is a mixture of men and women, and just the men's. We're gonna try to start Friday night so we can get an extra day or an extra night getting teams to come in a little earlier.
What day is this?
11th, the 10th, 11th and 12th of November.
Oh, okay.
Okay, and it's the last tournament around the area, so everybody tries to come in and get in on it. We're gonna try to, yeah, we're gonna, well, yeah, hopefully it's not too cold. But even though it's cold, people still show up. They won't go to work, but they'll show up to play. So we're gonna try to do that Friday, finish one division Saturday, and then come back Saturday afternoon and run into Sunday and finish the other division, which will help us get more teams, because this last few years we've been having a conflict with men's and women and co-ed being at the championship at the same time and having to choose, and everybody don't want to choose no more. Everybody wants to get one done and then play the other, because we've even had to choose when we got to the championship. And I always know we have to do that, so I was always prepared, but other teams didn't like it, and so it created a conflict. So now we're going to try to separate it to get even more teams for this tournament.
Okay.
How many teams did you have this summer?
We had 28.
28 teams?
Yes. We would have had more had we not moved it. Because we did move it one weekend. Yes, we had to move it a weekend over. But.
Okay.
Thank you.
Okay, now we'll open it up for discussion about what we're gonna do. You're up.
I am.
Mhm.
Okay. In evaluation, this is for discussion only. In my evaluation of the request, and that's the reason I asked Jim to stay, because I wanted to give him a chance. It was in my opinion that the sign on the highway and the two book presentations I could not see any possible way that was going to bring in lodger's tax or whatever. So I would like to have a little discussion on first of all, he's going to give him a chance to defend against what I'm requesting. Have discussion as to whether these would be even fundable events. Not by legality, but by the purpose of the fund.
Okay.
And that would be, if you look at your financial, I guess it would be item number 4 and item number 7, but there was 2, so I didn't really know how to, what's the other one? I didn't know it by item number.
4 and 8.
For the
Well, there's
sign,
2,
for the
the sign is one of them, which would be
4.
item number 4.
And for the book.
And new book, there's
Going
2
around.
locations. There's one in Taos Raton, blah, 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 and then there's one in Lovington and Hobbs. Anyway, so that's what I don't know. It's item number 7, but I don't know what the other one, I was looking to see.
Number 4.
No.
The sign.
I know.
Oh, sorry.
Yeah.
Yeah.
There's-
Number 8, sir.
Number 8 is the other one?
Is
Okay.
the out of
Okay.
town
Of the
return
eight
tiles.
outreach.
Okay, thank you.
I did those, I separated those and made those two proposals just because the one here that will be in Lovington Hobbs is a different venue in the sense of it being a specific program. The other presentations that we'll be giving will be doing, in essence, what the sign is doing. The sign is doing long-term advertising to bring people here, and I see that sign functioning as these others do in another way. That is, that people know about the museum locally are going to let other people know about it. I had just Thursday, a man came here from Massachusetts who was down in Midland looking at George Bush's home down there. So he found our museum online and came up here. This is the only time he had ever been in New Mexico before he left here that same day and went on back over in East Texas. So this guy is going to be an ambassador for this part of the state, for our county, and I see other people coming that will stay at the museum. Now, I mean, stay at the museum, stay in Lovington and stay in our hotels and be heads in beds. So I'm looking at it in that way, as a long-term kind of proposition. The same for the people who will learn about the museum and this book that we're going to be promoting, learn about the museum and the book and about Lovington and Southeast New Mexico and all the other places. It may not be a specific event that's taking place. And you know, we do that at the museum also. But the museum is a place that's permanently here. We're not here for an 8-hour extravaganza on a Saturday, anything like that. And I'm not saying anything bad about those. I like to have those. I wish I could have more. But this place is here 48 hours a week for people to come and see. These are permanent kinds of activities that go on every week. And I think that we need to think here as far as advertising this place and my museum specifically, that there is a cumulative kind of effect from this. People learn about it locally, then their friends who come to town, you know, or may even come to town because the museum is here. This, the museum, I'm down there all the time. I wish other people could come and just hear the kind of praise and good words for the museum that they have. This is, like Max Evans says, this is the biggest little museum in the West. And people come away feeling that way about this place that has so much to offer in a very small town. But anyway, so I answered your question there in part, but it is with the idea that the museum offers a different kind of a venue. It still brings people to town, but it's a different kind than just a one-off experience. Okay?
Okay.
And I understand that, and what my purpose here is to bring to light that I'm in appreciation of the museum. Please understand that, Jim, and nothing I say now is against the museum at all. But if you set a precedent, like on the sign, the other two items I will discuss differently, but if Bells were to come to us and say, I would really like help putting my sign out there on the road because that'll bring more people to here, we open ourselves up to a whole lot of different, I guess, I don't even know, people, let's just say that, groups to come forth and ask for things that are specific to their business that are not, truthfully at this point, not designed to keep people to stay here. It's a promotion of their business. Especially the book signing that's up in Raton or whatever, I understand totally that the intent of that. I'm not, and the one in, I actually did separate the two also, just like you did, as far as my feelings. The one in Hobbs and Lovington is a little closer. I still do not see that it's going to utilize the funds for bringing, for immediate, and this is for events versus potential and all of that. And by protocol, I would make a motion that these three with further discussion by the board, my motion would be to exclude them from funding. Now, by protocol, then if my motion does not receive a second, then it will be tabled and we move on.
Except that it's not on the agenda as
Could
an
I say
action item.
just one thing there, Robbie, as it relates to bells and putting up a sign. Of course, we're not a commercial operation here. We're not here to make money. We're here to bring people here.
I realize that, and that's the reason I'm not trying to.
So, I mean, if bells were to come here and ask you people for money, I mean, there's no way you would consider it, is there?
No.
But what if the hospital did?
Big pardon?
What if the hospital did? They're a non-profit. They're just like you. They're
Covenant, I mean,
Norley is a non. I'm very versed in this, I assure you.
They're not.
Absolutely, sir. They're a hospital district, and they are a 501c, just like you are, and that's exactly. And I'm not. I'm just saying.
Yeah.
There's a whole lot of possibilities. Okay, well, and please don't.
I think how many times have we had over the years that we've had lodgers tax here? Have we had any kind of a suggestion that somebody's going to ask us to do something? So as far as setting a precedent here and doing this, I don't think there's much chance of somebody coming along in the future and you being hamstrung with the funds because you did something for the museum.
It's a board decision, and it is actually. This is consideration. It is on the agenda.
Oh, okay, I see. So it'll be part of the other part of the motion. You're not going to have to
Well,
put it all in one motion.
I did. I thought.
He just did.
No, but the funding for the others too in the same motion.
Well, no, we are doing. We line out. Well, that's true. We've never done line items, so I guess I would have to say items
4,
7, and 8. Okay.
The recommendation.
My motion be items 4, 7, and 8 off of the recommendation be not considered for funding.
And then the rest of them too.
Well, by default, the others would be.
Well, that has to be part of your
Okay,
motion.
all right. The others would be considered, yes.
So is there a motion?
He's made the motion. I need a second.
I second.
Okay, been moved and seconded. Now we're opening it for further discussion.
Within the board.
Or, yes, sorry.
Okay. I'm just.
So is there any other questions, comments, concerns?
I think we are all in agreement.
I'm in agreement as well. I mean, I'm looking at
We've
Yeah.
discussed
numbers and
Yeah. Okay. So with that being said, that changes the formula somewhat, James, and you will adjust accordingly if we pass this motion, correct?
Just as a final footnote to that, I know you've already made your decision here, but the original sign that was put up there was funded by lodgers tax here, wasn't it?
Yeah.
A precedent.
If I understand correctly, though, he's saying that due to our guidelines and stuff, these do not fall.
No, I did not say that. I did
Not
not
guidelines,
say.
you didn't, I'm sorry.
Right. I am not saying that they do not fall under the ordinance because I don't know that they do and I don't know that they don't. So that would be.
Actual ordinance is very vague.
It is.
It is very vague.
It is.
Right. It's one line actually. And
But I think we're all, at least I know three, I haven't heard her say that we're in agreement with what
I'm
you
going by
said.
the way that they do it in Hobbs, where they do it literally one at a time, and then they agree to, okay, and first of all, let me say this. This is a recommendation to be presented to the city council, who would then vote whether this recommendation passes or doesn't pass.
Right.
So we're not eliminating at this point. We are just saying, if we approve this recommendation, that is our recommendation to the city, who then can, upon presentation and discussion, totally disregard it. Yes.
What we recommend.
Right. So now we haven't heard from the city on this, so
Yeah. Okay, so I think that the sign, it does fit. It's like a billboard, it's advertising. I think it does fit the intent. Actually, if I had to choose between the three, I would say fund that sign. Because it is outside of town. I mean, it's in Hobbs. I know that billboards are a means of advertising for the event. And since it is right outside of the city, well, you know, it's 18 miles down the road, you do have the chance to reach out to somebody who's not local to see that sign. The sign, I think the sign would fit the definition per the ordinance. As far as the other two, that's, you know, one of the things that we had previously discussed was advertising outside of our local retail area.
Right.
So the outreach program, I think that would fit if we're going to be talking to people in Taos, Raton, and those others. But as far as the book presentation for the local, yeah, that one is, I think, kind of goes against what the intent of our advertising was.
Boss, what do you have to say?
Well, I mean, you can call for a vote.
We can call for a vote.
Or we
on
can
the
call,
motion that's
if we want
presented.
further discussion in here, then we can
So further
modify
discussion,
the amendment.
If you, or the.
I'm open to whatever. I am simply getting this out for discussion and trying to do it the right way. I don't know.
Okay, so the discussion is, at this point, does Robbie amend his motion as per what we think and per what James has suggested, or do we leave the motion as it is and vote on that? So we're discussing that.
I could amend my motion to reflect the city manager's recommendations.
Which would be
To fund the sign.
Fund
fund the sign.
and fund the outreach program.
Okay. And everything else as presented.
Oh, well, yes, that's in the motion.
Okay. So he amends his motion.
No, I said I could.
Oh.
I mean, but we have to follow through on the original motion, or either that or I amend it. Oh, no, we have to follow through. This is where I'm looking at this. So.
Well, we have an original motion and you can amend it.
I can't. Okay, right.
Can.
I can amend it. If that is the
Because we have not voted.
right.
Yes, you can amend the motion and we can amend second the amended motion.
Okay, so in discussion of this, really, I need to know which way everybody feels.
So y'all agree with James?
I agree with it in that it's advertising, but there's more things that we grade on than just advertising, right? I mean, we grade on how many people are going to stay here because of this event, how many, you know, your quality of life, is it enhancing our quality of life around here to advertise out there like that?
I know that you know about lodger's tax and Hobbs. Does the Western Heritage Museum get lodger's tax funding?
Yes, they do.
Okay. I was just curious.
They do.
I never knew whether they did or not.
I know that one for a fact.
And it is owned by who?
Western Heritage?
I
it a
really
nonprofit?
do not know. I'm
New
sure.
Mexico Junior College.
Is it the
Isn't that right, Jim? Western Heritage, isn't that owned and operated?
It's
by
a part of
Jesse?
the junior college. It's not an independent place. It's not a 501c3.
That's kind of strange.
I don't know.
I mean,
For
how
lodger's
did you
tax,
guys
they-
grade that?
I used to
I think it kind of spoke for itself.
But they're yet not
I
a,
think-
They're
I think
nonprofit.
we're
I know
kind
that.
of in
Officially,
agreement
who
that we-
they fall under, I do not know.
That's,
So that's, yeah, that's kind of what I'm thinking.
I agree with what he said.
okay.
Which
So-
one?
That's just my thought.
Okay, so
What you
then,
originally said and what he just said.
Okay, I missed it.
I said I agree.
Oh.
Oh,
And I
So are we
think
basing them on our?
Well, and the thing is based on the recommendations, there's
there's not a lot.
not a lot of money in,
Yeah.
And
in one of these.
I think
so-
we already kind of said that before this discussion.
Right.
Based on what is going to be funded.
Yeah. So,
I don't think there's a.
you're talking about $1,300
Yeah.
total
For the 13.
for all 3 events. Which, if you take any one of them out, then the other one will get a portion of it or whatever. So.
Do you get voice?
No, of course you do.
No, I didn't get to vote.
You get to vote. I mean, you don't get to
It's
vote,
a
but you can
discussion.
discuss.
Oh, I know, I've been discussing, I mean,
haven't heard your-
I'm listening to
I
y'all
haven't
because,
heard your decision.
because I can go
Or
both.
your part.
I think, I agree with James on the sign. Because I do see the sign when I come from home. I do notice it. Maybe other people do too. It is advertising the museum, and it's the only sign we have advertising the museum anywhere in the county, I think. Isn't it?
It's the only sign in the county for the one that coming into Lovington
Okay.
is.
I think the question was, is it the only sign in Lee County?
Other than the one coming into Lovington.
Yeah, I mean, is that the only one
Yeah,
other than this?
And
other than the one coming into town.
so there's two.
Two.
One coming into town and then that one. But the other one is paid for by the land commissioner, not anymore.
No, the museum paid for that, and it's on city land. We paid to have that put up.
Oh, okay. Okay. So, as far as advertising, but as far as people coming here from Raton and only if they come for a Main Street meeting, or I mean, you know, they're coming for something else, then they might say, "Hey, did you hear about that museum?"
I will basically, I reflected in my scoring my thoughts.
When we all do, as you can tell by the
Right, in a way, that's already, I just wanted to present it or whatever.
Okay.
So, it's not enough, I mean.
It's not enough money to have a big argument. I mean, not
Right.
argument, but
No, but it
discussion.
does affect. So.
Yes. So, at this point, we need you to either vote on your motion or vote on your amended, or vote on an amended motion.
Okay.
So,
Let me do this. I will amend the motion to reflect, I will go ahead and amend it to reflect the city manager's recommendation as discussed. And then if you want to leave it like it is, just don't vote no. I mean, that's the easiest way to do it. And I will vote just because I made the motion. But
okay. So the
if
motion
anybody has any problem.
has been amended
Mhm.
to include everything except the new book from Lee County Museum presentation, which is item number 7. Do I have a second?
You're
Yes,
okay. Oh, well,
second.
actually,
Yeah, for the amended motion.
For the amended, yes.
Okay, so we have a motion and a second. Is there any further discussion, questions, comments? Okay. All those in favor?
Aye.
All those opposed? Motion carries. Was this quarter down from last quarter?
Seems like.
Quite a bit? Okay, just curious. But I know you're going to fill up the motels.
You know,
The motella.
And so this.
we also do impact the economic.
Oh, yeah.
Because
And so the extra money, does it go to?
It's just
He'll just read.
It'll-
Just
yeah.
give it to the wild. They bring people in.
Your motion was just to.
I'm sorry,
So that
I'm
doesn't mean
joking.
that-
I am
Because
totally,
if you really
totally
look under
joking.
the recommended, under the recommended funding, we actually are over what the funding cap was set at 13.2, we're at 13.8. So this will actually bring us 12.
Okay, that'll work.
Oh, okay, so actually we're bringing in a line, okay.
Good. Okay. Is that all we need? Huh? Does the public have any further comments?
Do we, I guess we went ahead and took care of it with our motion that everything else stays the same. Why not?
Yes. Okay.
Wait, I had some to add.
Okay,
real quick.
the other,
It'll
you're
take
an
me 2
other.
seconds. Yeah, I'm an other. So, anyway, on August 1st, we did institute a reimbursement policy to satisfy our procurement. This is available on the city's website under the forms. We sent it out to all of the entities, but essentially, talking about the process, we've had some delayed invoices coming in. It creates a nightmare from an accounting standpoint, but also just to make sure that everything is above board. But we have certain information that has to be put on those invoices, in addition to breaking it down for an event. So it makes it easier for staff to identify, are we making sure that we're paying what we're supposed to be agreed, or what we agreed to. Making sure W-9s are in place. Also the invoice. All requests have to be accompanied by the invoice provided to the event sponsor or the host by the vendor. So we have to actually have a copy of the vendor's invoice that's actually detailed.
So the invoice from Main Street to you would show, attach
Well,
the
I
copy of
can
the
break it
invoice that they.
So, okay, so if Main Street, what the information that we have on there requires the name of the entity, address, phone, date of invoice, the event name that the reimbursement's being requested to. If you submit an invoice for multiple events, you have to break it down for each event. So, you know, concert A, concert B, this is what this was for. And then as far as additional documentation is, if you obtain services from a vendor, the newspaper, if you purchase t-shirts, stuff like that, we have to have a copy of the vendor's invoice to that organization. And that invoice has to have the name of the vendor, the address, the phone number, the date of the invoice, description of provided, the date it was provided, and also information as to what the event services were provided for. In addition, we have to have a copy of that. We cannot no longer pay direct to an individual
to a vendor?
It
So you have to pay to the organization?
Yes, we have to pay it to the organization.
So that means you
So-
have to write more checks. Y'all
So,
have to write more checks.
And then we have to have a copy of that check or credit card receipt. Has to be paid in full, marked that it's been paid in full, so on and so forth.
And then the organization gets reimbursed?
Yes.
Okay.
So we also require, or we have the right to request additional information such as business license, your tax ID number, things like that, to make sure
For
that
the particular vendor?
Yeah, for that particular vendor that you requested those services from. And also making sure that if you have to submit all of your reimbursement requests for stuff conducted in that previous quarter, no later than the 25th day of the first month of the following quarter. So if you got funded in the third quarter, which is April 1st through June 30th, you have to submit your stuff for payment by July 25th. We won't process anything after that because it makes it very difficult for us, especially towards the end of the fiscal year for us, when we're closing things out, and then all of a sudden 2 months after that we wind up having an invoice all of a sudden pop up that we got to pay. So but it's just to streamline it, make sure that everybody's turning in the same amount of stuff, also creating less headaches for us to sort things out, but making sure that things are legit as well. Doing our due diligence, we have to. A lot of this is audit driven as well, because last thing we need is an audit finding over a lodger's tax disbursement.
Well, if it's an offense that gets us kicked out, I'll take the first blame.
It's not the board.
Okay.
This is all paperwork.
In addition to what our city manager started, Joanna and I talked about it on Monday. There is floating around 2 or 3 different versions it's kind of hard to answer the same questions on different ones. So for the requesters, please notice next time, hopefully there's only going to be one. Make sure you have the right one, please. And then that way it's a little easier. Even though at least the two that we got this time had the same point system. Yeah, they did have different questions. So be on the lookout for just one.
And in other words, get with Joanne and make sure you have the right one.
The right one,
form.
yes.
Just use the one that I emailed to you. Save that one.
The city website isn't the accurate one.
I'll double check.
I don't know.
Okay.
To make sure that it's
Because I'm not gonna lie, that's the one
that
I
it's
always
matching the one
download.
I sent you. But I did we did get different ones. So.
I'll entertain a motion to adjourn.
Second.
Move to
She
adjourn,
makes it
sorry.
not-
Yeah, he would say, when we get turned off, when this gets turned off.
Are we turned
Yeah,
off yet?
or actually I can,
I don't know who does that.
let me find it.
Disqualifying. I'll take full responsibility.
Yeah, I mean, he wants to make sure this is off. Nope. It's off.
No.
Actually print it out.
I have it right there. I'll give it to you. Yes.
And the speaker's back.
How do we stop
Oh, the
recording?
recording?
Yeah, we want to stop. We want to discuss something.
Can I just? So you want 2 different emails or just one?
Yeah, it's because the personal one's only for the youth center board.
I'm just thinking about car wash repairs. What are we gonna do next?
For like all of this stuff.
I've got 10 girls.
That's why I just go on the city's website and look down.
So it's not best for you just to use director for everything?
I have to have them on.
It's just that if,
You know what I mean?
no, because if anything ever happened with the youth center, they can pull my.
If I still sign off, I agree.
Director.
In addition to that.